Mr. Doherty. I'd just like to invite Ms. Hogan to make the opening remarks on behalf of the Tipperary Regional Youth Service, which is this presentation. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And I suppose there's a danger when you come down the schedule that you're starting to repeat what everybody else is saying, but that's probably a good thing. We're obviously all singing from the same hymn sheet. So my name is Cora Hogan and I work with Tipperary Regional Youth Service, and I'm here today to talk to you about the youth work response in terms of any implementation of the Youth Guarantee Scheme. I'm basing this submission on a proven approach that's been operating in Tipperary for the last 4 years. We've actually worked with young people as a youth service since 1970, but since 2009 we've focused on young unemployed in some of our programmes, and we have delivered 11 programmes, one of which is the Work Winner programme. It's kind of our flagship model at this stage. Through the Work Winner programme, we've worked with 145 young people in the last 4 years, and 70% of those young people have progressed to education and training and employment, something that we're very proud of. Something that I'd like to highlight from the start is the collaborations that we've had with local agencies such as the Department of Social Protection, such as the former VECs or the Education and Training Boards, local partnerships, and also in particular local employers. These partnerships have been very, very important in terms of ensuring sustainable employment and education into the future. So the young people that we're working with, and James mentioned them there, we're actually working with those young people who are furthest from the labour market. These are young people who've left school at 14, 15 years of age. Maybe they're out of work, out of education and training for 2 or 3 years. That's a huge chunk of a young person's life, and they're the young people that we're working with. They're the most challenging young people. They're facing local issues like little or no employment opportunities, literacy skills, low education, low training, family backgrounds that aren't necessarily, supportive of going out and getting a job, and also the rural issues. And I know I've listened to the Ballymun presentation, and a lot of what you said is very similar to our experiences, but we also have the rurality of Tipperary town and Thurles and Cashel to contend with, which adds another complication to our young people. Now, we found that working through a youth work approach is a response that works. So we're working with young people who are the most marginalised, and we're working with those young people who need that initial support and guidance in terms of actually getting into the jobs market, and then in terms of staying in the jobs market. So again, I would agree that the relationship between the practitioner or the project worker with the young person is hugely important from the very, very start. As I've mentioned, we're an integrated youth service, and as James has mentioned, there's a huge number of youth work projects around the country, and we do find that working within a youth service, an integrated model, provides ancillary supports as well in terms of supporting young people to get education and training and employment. A lot of our lads, they have issues with drink, they have issues with drugs. We have a couple of lads at the moment who are off the road for 4 or 5 years, and they're living in a very small rural part of Tipperary. They're kind of caught, and they think moving to Thurles is a big deal and don't want to do it. So those are the lads that we're working with. We're working with lads who think nothing of doing up the CV, badly written, badly spelt, folded up the size of a matchbox, put it in their pocket, hand it out to the employer, and they think that's okay. It's not, and they need to be told that. We're working with young people whose parents can't figure out why Johnny would get up out of bed in the morning, not get any extra money, work for 35 hours a week in employment and in education and training. They don't do it. Their peers don't do it. So we're looking at that culture as well. And again, going back to what you said, having that individual, having that worker to actually support these young people is hugely important. So I suppose our Work Winner programme is our flagship programme. It's comprised of 3 main elements. The main element that we've found that's hugely beneficial is the actual work placement, and it actually comprises of 70% of the programme. We also have an important training element, both general training and also specific skills training in terms of what the young person may or may not want to do. And then we have the individualised supports. Basically what we're talking about in terms of individualised support is having our worker sitting in a room, day one of the programme, normally what happens is the Department of Social Protection send out letters to the young people in the town who are in the catchment area. We'll normally get about 100 kids walking through the door under 25 years of age, and we sit down with each of them and interview them. Ask them, look, Johnny, what are you interested in doing? Sit down with Johnny then, look at whether or not he's eligible and committed to the programme, because it is a commitment. We're talking about 35 hours a week working and training. You're not talking about a part-time job here. And then sitting down with them and looking at that career plan, looking at what's a meaningful job for you. Because our young people are coming from a very low skills base, they're not going to be looking for jobs in the IT sector, they're not going to be looking for jobs in the banking sector or whatever. They're looking at local employment opportunities. So, I mean, I have a list here of the diversity of jobs that one of our programmes the young people would have been participating in. For those of you that have the presentation, you can see it's everything from farming to salting skins. Before you ask, that's skins of dead animals, salting them and send them off to tanneries. It's not a nice job, but we had a lad that did it. Gardening, barbering, golf course maintenance, these are all local jobs. So if you've got a lad who doesn't want to leave Thurles or Tipperary town, you need to find him a job locally, and a job that he'll enjoy, that he'll actually get up in the morning and go to. And also a job that, if he's good at it, employment may be given to him afterwards. And we have a number of young people who started off in work experience, in local employment, in local businesses, and they're now working there full time. They're not. They came in because there was an altruism from the part of the employer. They wanted to give these young lads a chance. Sometimes they had to be encouraged to do it, but they bring these young lads in, they work with them, they identify the type of training that they would like this young person to see. So, for example, if we have a lad working in a cheese factory and his employer says, well, if he had forklift driving skills, he'd be much more employable. Part of what we do then is access those forklifting skills. So it's about giving young people opportunity to help themselves and to make the most of those opportunities. Look, not everybody is perfect, and not all young people have benefited, but we do have that 70% progression rate. So just to, I suppose, to wrap up, the factors that make the programme successful, the young person's at the middle of it. They design, they dictate, they say, look, this is what I want to do. Okay, they mightn't be saying, I want to be a world-class musician, I want to be a rocket scientist. They might be saying, look, I like phones, I like people, I'd like to work in a phone shop. There's a job for them in that. There's work for them. They have meaning in their lives, and there's the opportunity for progression as well. The young person and the worker, the project worker, chooses the employer, not the other way around. So you don't have an employer coming saying, I'd like 3 places on your work programme, looking for free labour. That's not the way it works. It's all about the young person. Those support strategies that I've mentioned, talking to mammy, ringing them sometimes to get them out of bed in the morning, telling them to come back day 2 at work because, you know, people aren't that bad or you'll get on with people. That's hugely important, and that ongoing skill and support is hugely important. And I suppose where we've benefited in the youth service, because it's based in a sustainable organisation, is even once the programme is finished, there are still people there that the young person can come back to in a year's time and say, you know what, this isn't working out for me, or actually I've seen something online that I'd like to do on foot of what so that ongoing support is there as well. Because I was laughing, James was talking about when he left college first and he was out of work for 6 months. I was the same. I went and worked in Charleville for 4 months in community development for nothing, but it was because my mother kicked me out of bed in the morning and told me to go and do it. These people don't have mothers or fathers to kick them out of the bed. So just very finally, the recommendations that we have for action: maximise the youth work response. There's a network of youth services throughout the country. Use them. They're all there. They've got relationships with these young people already. As we've already mentioned a couple of times, target those young people who are furthest from the labour market. They're the ones that are going to cost us most in the long run. So if we can work with them and support them, that's where value for money is going to come from. Be flexible, be local, be innovative, try something different. Place the young person as the centre of the approach. Design locally based and locally responsive supports, and try to ensure that the Youth Guarantee is a guarantee for all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much.